So, hi, it's time for Thursday Thought. This week it has been detox, vitamins, minerals, diet, alkaline diet week in the Green Lotus Lounge. I want to talk about the interconnectivity of the physical body, the mental awareness, emotional body, pain body, sometimes known as like the aura around you, the energy, and then your spirit and your mind and your body, and how it is intrinsically linked. They're not separate at all. I'm just trying to explain that, but actually it's one thing. It's our connectivity is all of us. I want to talk about toxic environments. I'm not going to talk about relationships because they're even more intimate, but work environments that should have protections and protocols and should have health and wellness policies and stress identifying policies. But unfortunately, what happens when someone's stressed, if they're not supported, the effects of that kind of toxicity and chronic stress on the body. The first sign is our mental dysfunction. So often we start to get stressed, and you might find that your HR department has a policy around identifying stress and wellness at work, and then people really don't look at it, because what they do is say, oh, she's stressed, and therefore she's weak and dysfunctional and ill and sick and she has to go home, or perhaps not, perhaps they're even worse and saying, oh, it's your behaviour, it's not an illness or a wellness issue, it's your behaviour, which is what happened to me. It's like, no, that was a clear sign of stress. And then what happens on the body? So this week, although we've been looking at diet and physical body, the reason that how it impacts on the body. So the reason that we have to deal with it on that level is because it's come down through energy, and that toxicity and that chronic stress causes an overload or a disruption in our body, and it drains our adrenals. So you're looking at the fight or flight. So if you start behaving in perhaps a hostile manner, it's because you're in a state of extreme stress. It's not coming from a mental space, it's coming from that physical space, because what's happened is that chronic stress has drained your adrenals, that your cortisol levels have risen. And all of that toxicity from the environment has then impacts on your nervous system, and then it creates conditions like autoimmune dysfunctions, high inflammation, acidity on a cellular level, and then it can cause chronic fatigue, chronic pain, and fibromyalgia, and cancer. And if the level of toxicity is increased in any way, or even maintained in any way, and that chronic stress, the body then goes into shock. And this is what happened to me. My body went into such shock that when I was taken to A&E, and I was taken up in the ward at the hospital, and they looked at my blood tests, they were saying, have you had a serious hemorrhage or a serious trauma in the last few days or the last few weeks? And I was like, no, I haven't had a period for years. No bleeding. They were like, no, inside. Have you had an internal bleed? Have you had an external bleed? Like, what's going on? And started testing me because of because of those blood results, and inflammation levels and white T cells, and I'd become anemic. I wasn't taking anything in. Everything, the body was shutting down. They were testing me for heart failure, liver failure, kidney failure, and cancer. And a lot of cancers you can't get from a blood test anyway. So I still don't know where that might go. But hopefully I've managed to reverse this situation. But it's been a year from going into that shock. So that idea of shock being toxic. It's not toxic shock from a chemical, it's the shock being toxic. And I think that's what I wanted to talk about, actually. My Thursday thought is, if you're holding those thoughts in your body, they will have a biological effect. Our body is not separate from our mind, it's not separate from our spirit. So that's my Thursday thought, is that